Brilliant, thank you. Hello. My name's Aaron and I work for the Birmingham CAT team, but I don't today. So whatever I say, it doesn't matter really because I'm just me. And I'm going to talk about mental health. And I thought, I always start with this. It's like a little declaration where I'm just going to read it and I'll go from there. So basically, I was diagnosed by the NHS with Asperger's syndrome and ADHD when I was 30. And the rest of it just pretty much says, some days I feel autistic, some days I don't. And today I feel, I don't know, just don't want to be here today. That's how I feel today. So this'll be interesting. It's only because it's hot. It's not anything to do with you lot. But yeah, so anyway. So, looking after your mental health. Are any of you mentally ill? Teresa's mentally ill, yeah. And you're, well done, mate. That's what, I'm not going to. So you're eating well, talking, asking for help. Do some things that you're good at. Keep physically active, get a good night's sleep, and connect with others. That's my talk. Thank you very much. No, I'm only joking. Because there are other things on the internet that you can do. You can do 7 signs to looking after your mental health. And you can find all 7 of them and you can read them. And then from there, you can do whatever you want with them. Or you can look at your 5 ways to well-being. You can connect and be active. Or you can take notice. Or you can keep learning. Or you can give. You can give me £20 if you want. And I'll be rich, because all of you, there's a lot here. Right. So, I'm not very good at just kind of, I'm a very critical thinker. My background's psychology. I've got a very noisy brain. I was the person at uni that would just read journals for the sake of it. I'm not saying I'm clever, but I've just got a lot of mad stuff in my head that I'm going to share with you today because I want to be real about mental health and it will help you. There are some things that I do that have helped me because I'm still here, I'm not dead, so that's I'm doing all right, aren't I? So if you go to your GP, you won't get any help. That's the first thing. If you access support, it's not there when you really need it. So this is my experience. Some of you might have a really good GP, and I do hope you do. And if you do, please give me their name, because I'll move to your area and go to their doctor's office. So basically what I mean, the GP will help you, but they'll put you on a waiting list for 18 months. And my GP kind of talked me down. He said, well, you know, it's a long waiting list. And I have been on that waiting list. And when I waited for 18 months, I had a junior doctor, psychologist trainee, all sat there. They was very interested in the way I was thinking, but they never helped me. They were just like, you're very interesting, aren't you? And I just went home and cried, probably. I can't even remember. For children, forward-thinking Birmingham, in Birmingham, CAMS, they're just as bad. This is obviously my experience. I'm sure you all love CAMS. But the threshold is ridiculous. Unless you've killed yourself 3 times, they won't see you. So let's skip on from that. Working at work, I'm employed, I'm part-time. They'll support you, but for a short time. They'll give you lots of coffee and hugs and for about a week. And then, you know, when you've had your reduced scheduled time, they'll need you back, let's be honest. So they'll want you to get better. And family, well, family are great, but they'll want you to get better as soon as you can, if that's possible. So that's my realities. I'm sure maybe none of you have ever experienced those things, but that's my reality. So this is me. I'm not like Homer. I just like the way he says dough a lot, because I tend to get confused quite a lot. And when I was diagnosed, I'd kind of had most of my life just thinking I'm a bad person, really, and thinking that I'm a bit mad. And everybody told me and told me I'm selfish, and my ex-wife thought I was very selfish. Got to watch what I say because Cameron's here. Your mum was a lovely woman, Cameron. She is, but anyway, it didn't work. I'm married again, so that's good. Jane's great, but I'm going to move on because I've had a lot of coffee. So, clashed with a lot of people. Speaking my mind never really goes down too well, does it, Teresa? I've been told I can't say some things today, so I've got to watch what I say. She's given me, don't say that, Aaron, and don't say that. Oh, okay, so I'm not going to. Right. I love teaching. I don't teach anymore. I don't get on with I do get on with mainstreams, but I tend to have Marmite feeling. Either people ask me to leave or they go, wow, you're amazing, I love what you say. So it's kind of yin and yang, isn't it, Teresa, with me? But I find that education itself is the barrier. So, but we're not going to go there because I've only got 20 minutes. Right, so I don't like staff rooms. Don't like people eating, just really struggle with that. My Christmas dinner will be me in the living room watching telly, and then the rest of my dysfunctional family in the kitchen arguing. And I'll be in bliss and in happiness eating my vegan meal, my vegan chicken. Do I talk too much? Yes, I do. That's why 30 minutes is really freaking me out, but I'm going to be really quick. Mr. Rude? I'm not rude, but I'll just tell people if they're just not being how I think they should be. Not in an arrogant way. That's a man thing, isn't it? Us men, we always think we know what's what, don't we? But not all men. Sorry, men. I'm categorising. But I can be, especially in professional meetings, probably because I disagree with Ed Sykes a lot, and only because I try and think differently. I'm not an argumentative person. I've gone through the whole system with my son. My son's over there. He's autistic. He's a fantastic person that wears dungarees. Who wears dungarees in the middle of November? But anyway... we love him, don't we, Cam? I love you, Cam. And my daughter's getting assessed. And here's the thing about mental health, which is quite interesting for me. These are all the things that the doctors have told me. I saw a lot of doctors. I don't really go anymore because they don't really do anything. One of the things that I found are, and if I'd have found this is my first tip for you, really. If I'd have found this earlier on, I'd have been so much happier. You're the solution to your problems. I know that saying, you know that saying, they're called your problems for a reason. I love that saying. Especially when my wife's upset. Look, they're your problems. They're called your problems for a reason. No joke. But once you realise that actually there isn't any magic solution out there for mental health, it's a little bit like autism really, isn't it? But I tell you can find it yourself if you stop looking around, because you know we all don't know why the hell we're here. It's a very weird thing that we're spinning around on a rock. No one understands it, but I'll move on from that. But these are all the things that they've given me. Hasn't helped me, really. My Asperger's syndrome, I don't really have a struggle with that. It's mainly, I find it difficult with other people. Now, I know some people who would, you know, autistic people, get people to straighten their legs, or I know someone who doesn't like collars, and I'm not like that. But I generally kind of just get told to calm down. If I'm in a good mood, I get told to calm down all the time. So that's a difficult thing. And one of the things I found really challenging, when I got diagnosed, they never really, it's kind of like you get a letter, not a congratulations, you have Asperger's syndrome. It's like I went in, I had what's called a disco analysis, and my mum had to come. That was very surreal. So what was Aaron like as a child? And she was just like, poured all this crazy stuff that I used to do. But anyway, we're not going to go there. But I found that it actually didn't free me up having a diagnosis. And I'm not you know, for the kids I work with, I don't care what they've got, what isms they've got. They're just the kids that I work with, and I love them for who they are. And I find the answers, and we work together, and that's kind of generally how I work with my kids. But for me, I didn't get that, and I basically had a nervous breakdown, and I don't even know if you lot are here. I could be hallucinating. Listen, I'm joking. I'm not. But basically, having a nervous breakdown is not a nice thing to do. And I didn't really like it. I think I cried for about 3 months. And I remember my dad, who's heavily autistic, is there any way you could just stop crying? That was brilliant. And I remember ringing one of my psychiatrists, and I phoned up the crisis guys. It's all right because there's a crisis line, right? And I phoned them, and I said I'm scared because I don't want to die, but I think I'm going to die. And it was very real in my head. I was very, very upset and distressed. You know what the doctor said? I was like, oh, thanks so much for that advice, because now I'm okay. He just told me to stay away from main roads. So there's the professional's advice I've experienced. Right, so, because of time, this is my advice. It comes from being a parent with a child with autism. My little girl's going through it now as well. And do you know what? This is something, again, I wish I had more time. I have a lot to say. Cameron's 21, almost. My daughter's 8. She's going through the same things that he's going through: school refusing, anxiety, fearful of death, just stuff that you all relate to. The doctor gave me the same advice that his doctor gave me 15 years ago. Sorry guys, something's not right, do you know what I mean? So I want to be a part of the change. I don't know why I said sorry guys, it's not your fault. But isn't that mad that we haven't moved on? We're brilliant at awareness. Everyone can spell autism now, can't they? And I think the next thing is, I know what's missing, and it's about understanding. And I've got lots to say about that, but I can't today. So hopefully I'll come to another conference and you can hear me then. Right, so, and all the other things there. Right, I've had mental health for 30 years. I'm so proud of that. I've had mental health issues for 30 years. Right, anxiety. These are just my things, my struggles, and what I've done to get through them. So hopefully, maybe one or two of you might go, oh, that's good, I'll use that. Or you could use it with your kids who you're working with. So anxiety, it's not very nice, is it? I hate anxiety. But this is what I've chosen that helps. One of my friends is here now, Teresa. So I picked two people. If you can pick two people who will just, all their job, they don't have to do anything, honestly. They just need to sit and let you go. Because for me, no matter medication helps me, but talking about what is going on in my head is what helps. And yes, it drains the hell out of Teresa and my wife and my other friend. I haven't got many. But pick and choose. So that, honestly, find someone. They don't have to give you a solution. They don't have to give you an answer. Just talk. Because talking for people with autism is, for me anyway, it's what really helps me find a sense of things. Look for evidence to prove my anxiety wrong. This is really good. And it's something where, you know, if I feel anxious, like one of the things, for example, in my head, half of you don't give a shit about what I'm going to say because you're tired, it's Friday and you want to go home. Now I have to tell myself that might not be true. Now, it might be true, I'll never know. Oh, I'm even confused, I lack theory of mind, I don't know what people think. Anyway, I'm moving on. So, it's okay for me to be anxious. That's something that I really fought with for years and years and years and years. Because I was scared of anxiety, because that's what you do, don't you? You get scared of anxiety. How random. Here's a really random thing that's probably going to freak you all out, but I developed a fear of the dark for 2 years. I had psychiatrists, psychologists, and this is just one thing that was going on in my head during, this was after the nervous breakdown. I was sitting in a field and I was contemplating life and I watched the sun go down and I had a thought, I can't stop it from getting dark. What a weird thought. Please don't have that thought in your head and go away and be scared of the dark. It freaked me out. Seeing it getting dark now, I could not stand here. Because here's the thing, I really thought that I was going to die. It was there in my head. I'm lucky to not have voices in my head. But that was really difficult. And every night, guess what would happen to me? Would I die? No. So I'd go and walk the street. We lived in the country and I'd walk the streets with a bottle of red wine, because whatever gets you through at the time, just go for that. And I'd get up and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm fine. And I'd wake up in the morning. Honestly, I'd feel so victorious. But I don't know if you know about autism, we tend to ruminate things and catastrophize and things come back again. And every day at 3 o'clock, the same thing would happen. And I would go walking in the night. And I tell you, that was such a draining experience for me. I love the night now. I go to bed at 5 o'clock every night with a big smile on my face and watch Netflix. It's how I survive. But here's the things I learned during those weird times of anxiety. I've always had anxiety, always had panic attacks, always had agoraphobia. But when I learned the science of anxiety, it really helped me. So I'm hoping see, she's really bored and she's gone already. I'm so sorry. I tried really hard. I'm sorry. Enjoy your glass of gin. Just forget I ever existed. It'll be fine. See you later. Right, so nobody has ever died from a panic attack. When I read that, I was like, bloody hell, that's amazing, because no one has. No, there's no record of anyone dying of a panic attack. Because here's why. Because panic attacks are good for you. And I'll tell you why they're good for you, because it's your weird internal system telling you that it's okay. And there's, just to keep it really simple, there's the parasympathetic and there's the sympathetic. So this one is what causes or kicks off everything. Oh my God, I'm in danger. And then this one releases a hormone at a certain point. Is he in danger? Is he in danger? I'm not going to release this yet. Or just let him have another panic attack a little bit longer. And boom, there we go, we'll calm him down. That's what happens in the brain. That's why no one dies from panic attacks. So as soon as you have a panic attack, it only ever gets so bad. And then you sleep for 3 hours. But it doesn't hurt you. And when I learned that, do you know what happened? I didn't have a panic attack ever again. So that's something that I would give advice for. Now, here's the best tip. There's a book called Dare. Barry someone, really nice guy, and he taught me this, and I thought, this is such a great thing. So there's one thing I can give you, guys, it's this. You know when you're anxious or when your kids are anxious and are having a panic attack, you ask for more. So while there I was, walking in the night, freaking out with my bottle of wine and my mum's cigarettes that I'd nicked off her. I don't smoke anymore or drink. But anyway, 2 weeks, Teresa, 2 weeks. Right, so walking down and I'm like, okay, starting to feel anxious. And then I asked for more. It sounds weird, doesn't it? Because you have a panic attack, you want to run away. But Barry taught me how to, it's like a 1 minute thing you can do. And I'm there and I'm going, all right then, come on then. Give me your worst. Give me your worst. I swear I've not had a panic attack since, guys. It works. It's a scary thing. You can do it a few times. You'll be like, that's weird. But it really is great. Love it. So that helped me. That's that one. Right, depression. We love depression. You ready? I'm going to cure all your depression. I'm not really. There is one thing that's hilarious, and if it works, I'll be so happy. Okay, so most people don't understand me unless they've been through it. My brother, I love my brother. He's very, very intellectual. He's a professor in Birmingham, and he does law, and he goes around the world campaigning for people that are on death row, and he's just awesome. But he didn't understand my mental health issues because he was that person when I was younger that I'd talk about until he had a panic attack in the dome. Now, obviously, the dome, it's a bit of a weird place. But from that moment, he realised, Aaron, I get it. I understand now. And it helps. I'm not saying that people won't understand, but try and look for other people who've been through it or they're further along in your depression, because depression is crap. And it isn't easy. But here's the things. This is something that really helped me. Telling myself, I fight harder. I'm sure there are other people in here that have struggled as well. I have battled so hard to get here, more than most of you. And I'm not saying I'm better than you. I'm not. I wish I had a normal brain like you. I don't know who is normal. Who knows? But, I know how hard it has been for me to get here. Hence, Teresa's here. Now, I'm not special that I need somebody to walk me on a bus. I can do that myself. But having Teresa and my son here is getting me through this a lot better than if they weren't here. Does that make sense? So you're accepting it, but also give yourself some credit. Depression's a horrible thing, but if you give yourself some credit, if that makes sense. Right, depression always goes away and comes back again. And if you can get your head around that, if you're like me, you might not be like me, you might not have ever had depression, that's amazing. But it helps me to know that, because when I'm in my darkest moments, I know it's going to go away, because it always does. Yes, it'll come back, but I'm all right when it comes back. Like, the other day, my mum, I was going to say, the other day my mum died, but she didn't. She died 7 years ago. It was her birthday. And I just lay in bed and had some cake. And I've eaten 24 bags of quavers this week. Now, I'm not condoning quaver therapy, but I'm all right with it because it got me through. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, eat quavers. Right, accept depression. There you go. When it's a bad day, just stay in bed. I've even put that. I ate 24 bags this week. Anyway, it's a normal human reaction to the crazy world we live in, so don't be shocked if you're depressed. You ready for this? Get your pens out, guys. This is the best tip for depression. Talking Carl. Have you ever looked at Talking Carl? Okay, right, I'm going to show you this. So, going back to when I used to walk the nights, right? You can get the app Talking Carl. Now, it doesn't work on this for some reason, but I've got Talking Tom. There's lots of them. So here's Talking Tom. Here we go. Tom, I want to die. I cannot cope with this life anymore. So, right, now it's a bit random. But when you're crying and you listen, Talking Tom's better. He repeats what you say. Oh, it's hilarious. So anyway, that's the best tip. It might have been the wine, but it just makes light of what you're thinking in your head, because autistic people want to die all the time. It's just like, I've had many a time Cameron's sitting on the floor going, I want to die. And initially you're like, phone cams, what are we going to do? And then you just realise that, and I used to just go, dude, it's going to be all right, man. Don't worry about it. And he'd be like, okay, that's all they need, isn't it? It's all I need, just to be told it's going to be all right. Right, moving on. Agoraphobia. Oh, I love agoraphobia. Here's the answer to agoraphobia. Confront your fears, and there won't be your fears anymore. Do the thing you fear, and that fear will subside. What a load of bollocks. Right, so here's the thing, right? Let me explain what I mean. If Susan Jeffers in the room, I love you. I love Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's a great book, but not look. See, I've lost someone else now. God, I'm trying so hard. Sorry, Kate. Right, anyway, Scotland. I wanted to overcome my fear of agoraphobia, so I read all the books. face your fears, or always fear them. So I got Cameron in the back of the car, I got my wife next to me, my can of Tennant Super, and we drove to Scotland because I was going to conquer these fears because I hated them. They were bloody agoraphobia. If anyone's ever experienced it, it's horrible. So anyway, got out, got to Scotland, woohoo! Took my shoes off, grounded myself in the grass because I read somewhere that if you did that, you could flow with a tree and all that. Got to the Highlands, had the biggest panic attack I've ever had in my life. I threw myself on the floor thinking about it was, I swear to God, it was awful. Because I had this thought in my head, because I have a rigid head, you're 8 hours away from home and you can't get back. Oh my God, it was the scariest feeling. I can talk about it now because it's fine. But I was pushing, I was trying, and I'd had a wall in front of me. So I drank 2 cans of Tennant. I'm talking about alcohol quite a bit here, but this is the past. Drank 2 cans of Stella just to sedate myself, went back to sleep. Jane wakes me up because we realised I've got a great wife. We went to Loch Ness, push yourself a bit more, then we'll come back. That's what we did. Driving back, I'm asleep. She wakes me up. Don't worry. I went, why, what's happening? We're in the middle of the Highlands. The engine lights just come on. So another mad panic attack. And basically from that point, my mental health was the worst it's ever been. We got home. It was the aftermath. I started having these irrational fears about people going on holiday. And I'm not even going to go there because I haven't got time. But this is why facing your fears for me is a load of rubbish. But I'm going to give you the answer to this. And this is the tip for agoraphobia. So I love Albert Einstein. I listen to Senkos and heads and teachers all day. And fair play to them. But if this guy speaks, I'm going to listen to him above everyone else. Because he's a nice man, I'm sure he was. But he made a lot of sense to me. And he actually said this. You know, on the internet you can get all pictures of sayings. But he did, I've looked. So once we accept our limits, we go beyond them. Sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? Because, you know, with our autistic people, it's like, oh no, we've got to get them rid. No, we don't. And I can't talk about that kind of stuff today, but this is something that I apply every day in my work. And it makes sense to me because once I accepted that I can't travel anywhere and that it's okay and that if I push myself too much, it's going to make me worse. I'm not giving in, but I did that for a couple of years and guess what happened? So that's me, right? In Paris, in the Louvre, you do this stupid thing where you stand on this rock and I'm sure you've all been, all you normal people who can travel have been. 25 years, guys, I would never have got there, ever. Did I have have a guess how many panic attacks I had? I had no panic attacks because I accepted my limit and I went beyond Scotland. Scotland's nothing to me now, man. I've been to Loch Lomond, I drove to Oman and came back. I thought, forget that. But here's the thing. This is how I did this. I'm going to tell you how I did this. I accepted it. So you're accepting it, you accept your limitations. It's not a bad thing. It's a bloody brilliant thing. I went to the doctors, got a 7-pack of lorazepam, because lorazepam helps me. If I have 1 milligram, I hate taking tablets, but I know 1 milligram of lorazepam takes the edge off, doesn't fix anything, but gets me through the next few hours. So they're in my pocket. So here I go again. I've got my bottle of whiskey in the back, just in case. Just in case. That's me. Oh, and I got one of these eye things, so I just blacked out everything. Headphones, listen to Radiohead, probably not the best thing to listen to. But that's me under the Channel Tunnel with a big smile on my face. I'm not off my head on lorazepam. I'm actually relaxed, feeling like I can do this, and we got through it. Do you know what? The elation I've had, and I want to go back to Paris, and we're now going to go to Switzerland. That's because I accepted that I can't travel. Does that make sense? So try that. Right, I'm going to move on. Okay, this is a really good one. Find your flow. Everyone's talking about it, but this is the guy that he came up with it in the 70s. It's a very long name, but he came up with this idea of how to, I don't believe in happiness, but I believe that you can find a oneness or a sameness or a comfortableness. But flow, and all it basically means is this. You're not typically happy during flow, or sad, or frustrated, or anything really. You're usually so wrapped up in the activity that you don't take time to notice how you feel until afterwards. Then you reap the benefits. Adults who spend more time in flow are happier overall. The Seaman says that the happiness derived from flow is more under our control than the happiness we get from pleasure or relationships. Since, oh my God, I can just live alone. I didn't read that in, but anyway. Since it doesn't necessarily depend on external circumstances or other people. Guys, this is brilliant. If you can find your flow and your kids can find their flow, how awesome is that? And yes, playing the Xbox for 12 hours is flow. Chill out. Okay, it's all right. Anyway, I'll move on. Right, but look, this is my flow. I'm a singer-songwriter. Never really got a record deal. Opened a night with Leona Lewis and McFly, but that's about it, and then nothing happened. But I'm on YouTube, and you can have a listen. I got Best Birmingham Unplugged Act a long time ago, but at least I did it anyway. But here's the thing with flow. Music and songwriting is not hard for me. I will spend 12 hours in the studio and be like, whoa, where the hell's that gone? That's flow. You know when you've been on a first date, girls, and you're looking into his eyes, and you're like 8 hours has flown by. Yeah? That's flow. Yeah, okay, it does go, doesn't it, with that? But that's what flow. So find your flow. Don't really worry about what anyone else thinks, as long as you're not hurting anyone, sniffing hair and all that stuff. But flow. Find your flow. And then another thing I do is I'm a wedding photographer. I love the madness of being a wedding photographer. I do all crazy stuff because my autism fits perfectly with my wedding photography. And I've even got awards. I haven't tried to get these. It just happens because I'm in flow. That's my website, In Circles Photography. So if anyone's getting married and they want a really interesting wedding photographer, I'm the one. Right, so last thing now. Last tip. I'm doing all right, aren't I? Is that right? I've got about another 10 minutes. How cool is that? No, I haven't. I've got half an hour and I'm not moving. No, I'm joking. Right, this is a really, really good thing that helps me every day. Some of you probably read it, some of you don't. Those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind, okay? So if anyone folds their arms up and they'll go, oh, I always got, oh, hey, Mr. York, whenever I rang Senar for Cameron, or, you know, whenever I was banned from his meetings at one point. Cam, come up now. Are you all right to come up, or are you going to stay there? So this is my son. I absolutely love this kid, but I want to just show you something that is massive for me. Come out of the way, Cam, you're in the way. Right, so this is Cam, look at that. He was that little baby. It's crazy, isn't it? Right, and there he is, pain in the backside, but we loved him.
I feel like I've gotten more irritating as I get older.
You haven't. This kid has been through more than anyone I know, and he's amazing. He's got no behaviour difficulties. He's the most beautiful person inside and out. Smells a bit sometimes, but he's fine. And he's got long hair and wears dungarees, short dungarees. But I'm so proud of him.
There's nothing wrong with my dungarees, thank you very much. They look great.
And the thing is, right, that he's on trend, yeah. Like his dad, he gets it from his dad. He does, I know.
You're the one that wears denim jackets. I'm not going anywhere.
I don't do the denim anymore.
He seriously went full denim at one point.
I did, but double denim. And I even went commando, didn't really. Right, anyway, so, sorry, why did I say that? I don't know. So Cameron has had all the mental health issues that you know, kind of bringing it back down to the realities a bit. Really bad support. He's never had the right support. He's been through the special needs schools. He's been through mainstream schools. And do you know what everyone said to me all through his life? Oh, he's a lovely boy, isn't he? Always lovely. All the teachers, didn't they? All the colleges with their special needs money. And oh, he's a lovely lad. But if only he would apply himself. It's like, what? It's your job to teach the kid and to help him with his mental health. But he's never had it. Now, that's not a negative thing, because you know what? We've realised together that we're the help. And that turning point, do you want to share about when you were sitting on the sofa and you were fearing death, weren't you? Do you remember? And you had knives and you were worried. There was a time where I couldn't even drive him in the car because he was scared that he'd open the door and jump out. So we called the crisis team, because don't worry, they came with their capes and their crisis book. They know exactly what to do because they're in the crisis team. And they sat there and we were just chatting, and I was like, you know, he's got a fixation with knives and stuff. What would you do? How would you give him advice? And do you remember what they said?
Just remove all the knives from the house.
Yeah, remove all the knives from the house. Oh, if Cameron had a knife, I would phone the police. And we just quietly escorted them out of the house, didn't we? And it was at that moment that I didn't get frustrated. I didn't get overwhelmed. I did get overwhelmed.
I think we both did.
We did.
It was like, the crisis thing is meant to be the end, really, isn't it? It's not really meant to be something that you go, okay, I've called the crisis team. They helped a little bit, so now I've gone to these guys over here. No, you're meant to go to the crisis team when it's at its worst, and they're meant to help you and fix that situation. And they didn't.
But they do. But I need to encourage you guys. We found it ourselves, and we're not clever doctor, professor people. Now, he hasn't got an education because the education system's let him down. He hasn't got any GCSEs because they wouldn't put him through it. He got kicked out of a special needs school for being anxious. How the hell do you get kicked out of a school? He was refused post-16 because he was too anxious, and the governors made a decision that Cameron's he's not a risk. Look at him. So we haven't had much luck with education. But do you know what we do? Is we tell him it's all right, because I didn't get my degree until I was 25. He's got the whole of his life ahead of him. So if school doesn't work for your kids, guys, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it, because they've got all their life. Okay?
A good point to end on, Aaron.
Good point to end on. That was only 20 minutes. I've got another 5 minutes.